This is episode 10. Goodness, to think that we have decided to keep this going this long.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's an achievement.
I guess it shows the dedication that we have.
Quite, we are rather insane.
We are. Now tonight there's just me and Peter. Unfortunately, Magnus couldn't join us due to technical difficulties, and Connor has been abducted by aliens.
Yeah, and they won't give him back until we solve the technical difficulties, to which I can only say, screw you, Google.
Yeah. Just taking over the world slowly and making everything stop working.
You know, the funny thing about Google and them taking over the world, it reminds me of a quote from Lex Luthor in one of the Justice League cartoons, where it says, "Do you know how much power I would have to give up to become president?" I'm pretty sure that's the way it is in Google. How much power would they have to give up to openly rule the world?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I quite like technology, and I'm looking up a couple of things with the Google X and what they're doing, and like they had the auto car years ago. They've had it for a good couple of years, and it's like, okay, now we're going to show the world. We'll show you guys what we've got. We've had drones delivering things for the past couple of years. It's now just catching on.
That's all the craziness.
It is. Well, tonight we're going to be discussing a little bit about superpowers. The ones you really want, the ones you really don't want. And everyone has thought about this. If you've seen X-Men, like I remember seeing the first X-Men, and my initial instinct when I left was I wanted claws, healing factor, and beating the crap out of everyone I met. Maybe that wasn't the best thing, but that was my first impulse.
And I have become less and less fond of Wolverine in each film since.
Yeah, I have to admit that the appeal is wearing off.
I think it wore off for me partway through the second film.
I think it's just become a little bit too much about Wolverine, and it wasn't like that it's not like that in the comics, but because of the popularity that unfortunately Marvel have jumped on the money bandwagon because they know people will buy Wolverine.
Yeah, and that's something that's always confused me, because I've never really liked Wolverine all that much. In the animated show, he was my least favorite one of the X-Men. And yeah, I've always much preferred Cyclops.
Cyclops is cool. He's a good guy, and I really like. I'm with you. I prefer so many of the other stories that are in the X-Men universe. Wolverine has a very shallow story compared to some of the other guys out there.
And really boring mutant powers as well.
Yeah, there are some pretty interesting ones. But before we go into that, we've had a couple of things go onto the blog this week. Peter, why don't you tell us a little bit about that Foundation Part 1?
Okay, short version of it. I love the Foundation saga, but this review isn't to try to explain why I love it, because you shouldn't need to explain why you love Foundation. It was the winner of the only ever winner of the Hugo Award for Best Series, so I kind of think that speaks for itself. I'm just trying to explain some of the stuff that I've noticed in it about, the plot, the themes, the characters. First one mostly deals with stuff I noticed about how the plot develops, and I'm working on part 2 of my review, because part 1 got to about 1,500 words, and I thought, okay, I need to break this one up a little bit.
There's a lot you can go into, and I have to admit, to all our listeners, go check out this entrance on our blog. It's absolutely brilliant. Peter is a very good writer, and he's got some really good insight as to the ideas and the fundamentals that he's trying to portray. I really enjoyed myself
Although I want to give a shout out here to somebody who everyone should be watching. I started thinking about doing my review after watching the SF Debris reviews of the Foundation Saga. And he's a really good video reviewer. I highly recommend the man. He's hilarious as well. Way funnier than I ever could be.
No, you're funny.
That's a good joke.
There are also some other blog entrances that I've put on. I wrote a short article on why I want more conventions in the UK. Put another review of James S.A. Corey, his Abaddon's Gate, onto the blog. And shortly, once the website host works, I will be putting a review of Dracula Untold, which I saw last night. Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We'll get back to other things we're planning on doing later on at the end of the review, but we got that discussion to come to, don't we?
Oh yeah. So, Peter, what are those powers that you want and you really don't want?
Okay, I'll be honest. If I'm picking superpowers that I desperately want, there's two that immediately stand out to me.
Yeah.
And the second one, if only because it's like the first one, but with other awesome attached as well. Because, I'll be honest, this is probably what most people want at some point. I wish I could fly.
Yeah.
That's it. Number one on the list, no question, the ability to fly. Because it's just... Picture it, you can literally sweep a girl off her feet. Literally. And you can actually fulfill, as they say in that old song by, oh, what's his name? Oh, I know his name, Frank Sinatra. The old song from him, Fly Me to the Moon. All that good stuff.
Fly, you've stolen mine already.
But that's only number one.
Okay.
Number two, and I really started thinking about it after I watched the absolutely fantastic film Chronicle, is telekinesis.
Chronicle was really good.
Yep, and telekinesis, because you could do so much with it.
Yeah.
So many powers you could do with it.
Yeah, telekinesis is pretty cool.
Yeah. Mostly, I'll admit, I would love to just experiment with that just to see what I could pull off of telekinesis. Like, getting up in the morning, going over to the mirror, and shaving using telekinesis. You just kind of pull the hair out your face. Or really showing off down the gym as I'm lifting weights and just piling on the weight, half lifting it with my telekinetic ability, just kind of like, yeah, I've been working out, can't you tell? And then, of course, if you can use telekinesis on yourself, you can still fly.
Yes. Yep, that's true.
With the added bonus that if you hit something whilst you're flying, you're not necessarily going to go splat.
Yeah, you might have a little bit like a protective bubble around you.
Yeah, there's only one real downside to telekinesis in my mind.
Hmm? And there's a downside?
Yeah. How powerful you could be.
Do you think that would intimidate all the other people out there?
Well, not just that. I mean, you picture this one. You've got telekinesis. You are insanely powerful. You can levitate tanks and whatnot. Why the hell am I allowing a war to ever happen?
So you're basically Watchman, Mr. Manhattan.
Well, yeah, you kind of got that problem. That's the one downside to having one of the really powerful superpowers. You have no excuse for not changing the world.
Yeah.
None. I mean, if I can do telekinesis, I can fly, and all that other stuff, so I can get where I need to be, and I can levitate tanks and all that stuff. How the hell am I allowing anything bad that I ever hear of to happen when I can fly there and stop it? I hear about a building collapsing, fly over, ooh, and I stop it. I could never justify having a day off. I would feel guilty It's the Superman dilemma. How the
Yeah,
hell does that man make it through a date without feeling guilty?
yeah.
Although
Yes.
somebody came up with the classic response for Superman. He's on his date with Lois. He hears an earthquake that's happening. He just is about to get up from his seat, and he very quietly hears Wonder Woman whispering, "Clark, I got this one. Stay on your date."
Yeah, the old Superman problem, like the superhero problem, and the day off is always that's always going to be there. That's what they have to deal with. So what's the superpower that you don't want?
Well, related to that, obviously, I don't want anything like, magical wish granting abilities. Do you know what what I feel would actually really suck as a power to have, apart from things like, now, I'm obviously excluding the lame ones like I can make my fingernails grow or I can make my face spiky.
Yeah,
Shapeshifting.
yeah.
I do not want that power. I don't know. It just feels really, really creepy.
I think it's meant to.
Well, maybe, yeah, but there's just something really unpleasant about looking into a mirror and seeing somebody else's face. I think it would give you a problem.
Yeah, well, like that's like there are like the Mystique origin story. Her problems when her powers were starting to be activated, and the problems that the people around her had with that were definitely going to do a little bit of crazy making for her.
Hmm. More than definitely. But that's just my personal feelings about it. What about you, Guy?
I'm with you on the flying. To be fair, I really would like to fly. There's not really too much out there. I would love Aquaman's powers to command the water, as well as the strength that comes with it, and being pretty cool. Um,
That's like giving yourself like 4 or 5 different powers, though.
it's true. It's true. If I had to limit myself to one,
Them's the rules.
those are the rules. I'm afraid I'm with you. Maybe this is just a this is a worldwide fantasy is to be able to fly. We've always looked up at the sky. There have always been those people that have wanted to try and get into the sky. So maybe there's something genetic there. Um, but yeah, the flying thing, and I don't want to copy. I'm not going to copy yours, so I'm going to stick with the flying because again, telekinesis is awesome. Really, what can't you do?
Well, actually, I just thought of a power I'd rather have.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's a bit OP, but it's kind of awesome as well. Energy absorption and utilization. Kind of like not the comic book version, but the movie version of Sebastian Shaw,
Yeah,
X-Men films. That ability is actually pretty kick-ass.
being able to absorb the power from a nuclear reactor and use it. Yeah.
He can basically convert it to any kind of energy he wants.
Yeah. It's kind of like the holy grail of superpowers, really.
Yeah,
Um,
somebody did a fantastic seeming. It was a pretty good Heroes fanfic where some people get kidnapped for the All Power Project,
mhm.
and the All Power Project is Sylar, obviously, because he can copy people's powers by looking at their brains.
Yep.
Peter Petrelli, back when he was in his "I absorb your power just because I happen to be near you. How the hell do I ever lose a fight?"
Yeah.
Because seriously, how the hell did he ever lose?
Yeah. That's true.
And they introduced a third character whose entire power was, "I absorb energy and can use it for whatever I need to use it for." Which, oddly enough, somebody made a pretty good argument once that if you break it down, that is Superman's superpower.
Um.
Okay, hear me out on this one.
Okay.
We know he gets his power from solar radiation, right?
Yes.
Well, all of his abilities are really just logical extensions of that. He absorbs the solar energy, and it's more than he needs, so he can use it to make himself stronger. it kind of produces an energy field that protects his body, which he can also utilize to fly. If he has enough energy, he can project it as heat from his eyes, and it basically just makes every single function of his body work a billion times more efficiently than ours does.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Yeah, I can go with that.
So
And
I found a way to give myself Superman's power set in one power. Ha!
the power I would least want to have. Have you ever seen the movie Sky High? It's a kids movie.
That one I have, yes.
I really enjoy Sky High, but I do not want to glow in the dark.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah, but if you're in a dangerous situation, you're trying to sneak through the enemy lines, and suddenly you start you have a bad moment. You get distracted, and suddenly you're glowing. You are target practice. You are screwed.
But with that kind of power, you're not exactly going to be Mr. Frontline Fighter. You're going to be the guy who goes around, maybe sneaks into somebody's room. They wake up and it's like, I am the ghost of Christmas past.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He'd be amazing at a rave. But practically,
honey, the lights have gone out.
Don't worry, babe. I've got that.
Do you want to see my lightsaber?
We're not going to go there. We'll leave that to the listener's imagination. Okay, so we've gone over our main discussion. We were trying to keep our episodes shorter now, because we've learned that people don't really want to, as much as people want to hear our voices, they don't really want to sit around for half an hour listening to our voices.
Probably not. And clearly in 10 minutes we can't cover everything. We're just really trying to start your discussion as well. I mean, we give you our reasons why we feel like we do. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell us what you think. Talk about it with your mates. Seriously. Discuss it. We've all had this thought.
We have, and if you're anything like us, you've spent hours talking with those friends about why you want that superpower, how good it would be, how crap it would be, and you've already probably had this discussion 10 times over. But we're doing it again. So, how far through are you of part 2 of your foundation?
Well, I am 1,000 or so words in. I wanted to cover the characters and the themes, but it's looking like it's going to have to end up with a third part because I'm not finished the characters yet. Spoilers.
Sweet.
I talk about everybody for 1,000 words, and then I talk about Harry Seldon.
Yeah, so good.
He can have his own bit.
I still agree with you. What you were saying. Spoiler alert for the essay about why he's not more widely read, but because it is just. I think it's so simple and so genius. All of his writing that he's just so underrated.
Yeah, in terms of as literature, it's very simple. But once you get into the themes of it, I mean, I'm going to get into it more when I get to themes, but the moral ambiguity of Foundation as a series,
yeah,
that's deep, really deep.
Well, we look forward to the next part. If more parts, the better. If you ask me.
That's not all I'm working on.
What are you working on?
Well, we all know that one of my favorite TV shows is Supernatural, a show that does not get the love it needs from the and Supernatural season 10 starts this week.
Nice. Ooh.
So a certain someone is planning on doing video reviews of that.
No way. Who is it?
Oh, that's a good question. We should actually arrange somebody for that, shouldn't we? Until we find someone for it, I think I'll just fill in for them.
I think you're probably one of the best choices. You like the show.
It does help, but I'm also more than happy to call out the show when it sucks.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good discussions about Supernatural. Because I'm a bit of a novice. I'm working through season 3 right now.
Yeah, I have watched every episode except for like a handful in season 1 because I've heard they weren't very good.
I actually borrowed your copies. I remember borrowing your copies a couple of years ago.
Yes, and it took you a hell of a long time to give them back.
It did, didn't it?
By the way, if you haven't watched Supernatural and you think 10 seasons that scary, to be honest, the show should have ended at the end of season 5. I've enjoyed a lot what came after. Should have ended at the end of season 5. It really should have. And if you watch the show, you will get why.
So we've got Supernatural. My wife and I love The Walking Dead, so we're going to be doing some probably just me, but we're going to do some Walking Dead video reviews as well.
Yeah,
so
Magnus has started his streaming of
yes.
Shadows of Mordor.
Yeah, he's trying to make sure that it works and actually gets onto our Twitch account. But he's in the process of doing that. So Shadows of Mordor.
Yep, expect his playthrough Let's Play long play to show up pretty soon.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting together soon for a bit of role playing, and we're hoping to have a video camera, so we'll get the highlights onto YouTube as well.
Yeah, that should be fun, and it'll be a perfectly suited game for the Halloween season as well.
Right. So excited. So freaking excited. Well, we're going to keep it short. That I think is everything. Can you think of anything else, Peter?
Nothing desperately. We are in the slow part for movies, however. The series have started again. Gotham is going along nicely. It's actually a lot better than I thought it would be.
I'm waiting for it to hit.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is carrying on nicely. Legend of Korra started again. Oh, yes.
We will keep everyone updated as always. We love anything geeky. If you guys have any recommendations, then we want to hear them, and we'll give them a go.
Yep. So on that note, I think we're going to have to call it a night. I hear my gym calling me.
I hear not bed yet, but maybe I've got a couple of books I'm reading. I'll get more into.
All right. Cool. So on that note.
Bye!
Have a lovely evening and geek out.